We are well and truly in the midst of the A-League men's transfer window as we come to the end of July and enter into August. So let's do a recap of all the moves that we've seen so far. Every single club, starting off with Adelaide United. Not a lot of movement from the Reds in the past month. They made those few early signings in the transfer window. Goodwin, Paris and Bart Vriens arriving at the club. But you look at the outs there, you'd imagine there's still a bit of movement to happen at Adelaide United. Certainly one of the teams to keep an eye on for the remaining month or so. Auckland FC have steadily been building their squad in this transfer window as they prepare for their inaugural campaign, but over the past month they've had some fantastic signings. Dan Hall, Scott Galloway, Callan Elliott, Champness, Jake Brimmer, Johnny Warren medal winner from a few years ago, but Hiroki Sakai, I mean that's the big name signing for Auckland. A defensive signing as well. He's got a fantastic career. He's played at the top leagues in Europe and many caps for Japan as well. So an exciting pickup not just for Auckland but the A-League as well. They're building a pretty strong side ahead of their first campaign. Brisbane Roar, again, not a lot of movement in the past month. Marco Rojas departing for Wellington Phoenix a few weeks ago. I can't imagine them making too much movement. It looks like they're pretty settled with their side. A decent number of ins so far for the upcoming campaign. The mighty Central Coast Mariners has been a dramatic last month or so for the Mariners. Not surprising that we've lost the likes of Max Ballard, Josh Nisbet and Jacob Farrell, who we knew were going to be attracting interest overseas. At the time of this recording, Josh Nisbet's still without a club, so we'll see how that pans out. The re-signings though of Docker, Harry Steele and DePizio I think are really key ones. And some interesting ins as well in the past month. Really interested to see how Alfie McCalmont goes, filling into that midfield for Central Coast Mariners, which is a really sort of key area of the field for Central Coast, I think, this season, with those departures of Nisbet, of Ballard as well. Let's take a look at Macarthur FC also. Just a couple moves in the past month. Josh Domesky joining the side and Lockie Rose departing for Newcastle Jets. That was announced a few weeks ago as well. For Melbourne City, they've made a bit of movement in the past month and there's been plenty of young players given scholarship contracts promoted to the first team, which is good to see. They're giving some more opportunities to younger players, and it does appear to be a much more youthful squad for Melbourne City. Of course, the big out in the past month was Tolgay Arslan departing the A-League. Huge loss for Melbourne City. Melbourne Victory, the rivals of City, of course, have been busy in the past month as well. Plenty of ins in the recent weeks. Brendan Hamill joining, Jack Duncan from Wellington Phoenix, Reno Piscopo has joined as well, Jing Reese, another one. All these players arriving in the past month. They've also re-signed Jason Gary, a pretty key re-signing for them. And as we know, Paul Izzo has also departed the club. For Newcastle Jets, a couple ins in the past month. Matt Scarcella arriving on loan from Sydney FC, and that signing of Lockie Rose from Macarthur FC. Lockie Rose made his debut in the Australia Cup playoffs last week. Big out though, Apostolos Stamatolopoulos. It's a huge departure for the Jets. He was so good for them last year. He's heading overseas and hoping to keep his Socceroos hopes going with some game time overseas. We wish Stamatolopoulos all the best. For Perth Glory also, again, another one of these teams who were very busy early on in the transfer window. A couple signings in recent weeks. Lockie Barr arriving from Adelaide United. Hiroki Ayoma, Nikola Miljuznic also joining the club there. Glory, plenty of movement in this off-season for Perth. Sydney FC, Anas Waheem was announced as a signing a few weeks ago. And of course, as we know, Matty Scarcella departing the club to join the Jets on loan. Interested to see Sydney FC still pretty quiet in the transfer window. Only a few moves. You'd imagine there's still a couple key positions they have to fill. Maybe another defensive midfielder, maybe another central defender as well. It's looking like a pretty young side for Sydney FC this season, so another interesting team to keep an eye on for this upcoming campaign. Wellington Phoenix, they were one of the sides who were very quiet in the transfer window up until the last month or so. Rojas has returned to the club, and they've picked up Paolo Retro, which I think is a decent signing. He spent a number of years at Sydney FC and then Melbourne City prior to that as well. Good A-League experienced player, but some big departures in the past month. Jack Duncan, Ben Old, Bojidar Kryev, Finn Sermon, all the players leaving within the past month. Finn Sermon was fantastic in defence last year for Phoenix, and Kryev, I mean, he's been solid for Phoenix over the last couple of years. He joins a rival A-League team in Western Sydney Wanderers, who we'll talk about now, and Kryev is the only signing for Wanderers. Incredibly, they've been so quiet this transfer window, and you look at the outs that they've had here. It's quite incredible to think that they've been so quiet up to this point. And some big departures in the past months as well. Marcelo, Joran Hendricks and Lockie Brook all leaving the club. So another one of these sides who we really have to keep an eye on. Yes, the Wanderers, did field a pretty solid team. We got the win against Brisbane City in the round of 32 at the Australia Cup in the past week. But they're going to need more if they're going to compete this A-League season. Alan Stajic may be taking his time when it comes to recruitment. Still a month or so to go in the transfer window. And lastly, Western United. Again, another one of these teams taking a youthful approach, promoting some youngsters to the first team as well. Lockie Wales and Daniel Pena departing in the past month. Another couple of big departures for Western. So there's a look at all the movement across all the clubs up to this point. As we enter into August, we'll bring you another transfer recap at the end of August as we head into September, and the transfer window closes around mid-September. Thanks so much for tuning in. Drop your comments in the comment section. How do you feel like your club is building ahead of the upcoming season? What positions does your club need to recruit in? Thanks so much for tuning in. My name is Lockie, this is Coast Watch Football, and I'll see you in the next one.